Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're checking out the new releases from Gaerea, IOTUNN, Devin Townsend, and Fit for an Autopsy. So here we are, 4 albums today.
Pretty big day.
And yeah, we're gonna start with Coma by Gaerea.
We've been gassing this one up a lot.
We've been gassing it up a lot. We did react to, what was it, Shapeshifter?
3 of the 4 singles, basically.
I know World Ablaze we didn't. That was the one we missed.
I think that was the one that we missed. Yeah, we did Unknown. What was the other one?
I can't remember which one were the singles.
Anyway, we did 3 of them.
Yeah, and we liked them. We thought they were good videos. We thought they were overall generally good songs. And yeah, we were pretty hyped for this album because of that. I've listened to Gaerea before. I'm not a huge fan of the band, but I think I might have stated this too, that I feel like their band is in a trajectory in a good way, in a good direction. I think they're stepping outside this kind of pocket of being just too generic. And there's a lot of bands that are out there that are very generic, especially when you get in the black metal genre where it's just a lot of the same type of riffing, the same type of harsh vocals, the same type of drum beats, kind of all this wall of noise kind of stuff. Gaerea does that, but they do it in a different kind of way. It's a little bit more doomy sounding, but on this album, I feel like they're expanding more on their sound, which is really, really good. It's something that we're definitely gonna praise a lot. But for me, it probably just wasn't enough. And I had high hopes for the album. I just don't think it quite met that bar because there was just still too much of this stuff that I felt like it was too much in that pocket still. With that said, a few of the things that stood out to me were World Ablaze, again, the single we didn't react to. I like the fact that this song has basically a D-beat variation for the drum groove, which I thought was kind of cool. Track number 5 right after that, the title track, Coma. Really like the intro of this song. I'm not entirely sure what was happening, but it's just like the guitar, drums, and vocals are all doing this. They're all working in sync, and I don't know what happened. It's just something that happens 3 or 4 times, and I don't know, hard to explain in words, but I thought it was really cool. Love the intro of that song. Still a cool song. I also liked track number 9, Unknown. Like the heavy bass presence in the intro. It gets going. I like the arpeggiated types of riffs over the tremolo style that most of the album has. It's just a nice change up from that standard, typical pocket type of stuff that I was talking about. But yeah, the whole album, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, but I just kept finding myself wanting more of these special little moments. And I know they can do it because they do have it here and there. They had it in their singles. And I think the band is on a trajectory to good things, maybe great things, but they're not quite there yet. They're on the road. They're on the right road. The right path.
Really big, good step that they took.
It's a big, good step forward. Yeah. And then you know what? Fans of the band might possibly be disappointed in it, the way that they're kind of veering a little bit, because that tends to happen with bands when they make decisions like this. And I might be making it sound like it's like a huge step off. It's not. It still sounds like Gaerea. It still sounds like them. It's just not as sad sounding. It's not as doomy, maybe. There's a little bit more brightness in there, but it still has that element. It's I don't know. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as, versed in this band as Vile is. This is my first Gaerea album. The first times I heard them is when we checked out those singles. So, I did have high expectations, though, because I liked what I heard from the singles. And I do think there was a lot of cool stuff in this album, in regards to that. Something like the intro to the Poet's Ballet. It's long, but, 2 minutes, but I feel like the payoff from that song, really starting was really, really nice. And I liked the moments where they had that in this record. A song like World Ablaze, which changes up the pace, is pretty cool. Or Wilted Flower being like this mid-album depressor song.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool, but I did find, similar issue, as you mentioned, there was a lot of just like, okay, it's the tremolo blast beat, and that's it.
Yeah.
Though, I do like that this album made it melodic. They created a soundscape with it, and I thought that was really cool. And that was consistently enjoyable throughout the album, but I did find there was a little bit more repetition on this album than I wanted, and I felt that if more of the quiet stuff or the chill stuff or the atmospheric stuff was expanded upon, maybe have an entire track dedicated to that, or 2, you could really open it up with this band and make them sound more diverse, as opposed to having half a song be that and the other half be what you've heard for the rest of the album already.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the main thing that would improve this album, but I still enjoyed it. It's a good album. I liked it.
All right, next we're going to talk about The Nothing That Is from Fit for an Autopsy, who we've covered on the channel several times.
Yeah.
We're fans of this band. These guys have been putting out great work, especially as of late. The last couple albums have been pretty stellar, and you know, they're one of those bands that started on a road upwards, and they just kind of been.
They just kept going up.
They've been kind of going up and just dropping just awesome songs, awesome videos, and things like that. So again, the hype level was high. The expectation was high for this album. Did it live up to it? I'd say for me, mostly. And the thing with me is, I feel like this album has a lot of punch to it. There's a lot of texture to the sound and a nice range of ideas being executed. My issue with it is that I feel like it's front heavy. As in, the first 4 tracks I thought were phenomenal, great. After that, the album starts to taper a bit. Now again, I listened to this one time. I didn't have a lot of time to do spins today. One time listen, it's hard to really judge an album on one listen. It really is.
Which is why we do what we do.
It's why we do what we do. So for a first impression, though, like the first 4 songs were phenomenal, and then after that, like I said, I started tapering with some stuff there. Towards the end of the album, there was stuff that I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Like, I know you're gonna mention Lurch because we talked about it before we started recording, and Lurch is a song that kind of piqued my interest, but I just was too busy or couldn't really think of what to write, and I don't have any notes for that song specifically. The song track number 9, Lust for the Severed Head. This is not related to the music, but it immediately reminded me of a movie called High Tension. If anybody knows the movie, they might know what I'm talking about, but it's a movie, I think it's a French horror thriller kind of movie. But there's one scene where this guy, he's getting head in his truck, and then he picks up and just throws it out the window. It's just a severed head. So, Lust for the Severed Head, I thought of that scene. I thought that was pretty funny. But man, Hostage, Spoils of the Horde, Savior of None, Ashes of All, and Weaker Wolves, banger, 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 banger. I'm just like, holy crap, these guys are on the top of their game. What is this stuff? What the fuck's going on? And then it was just a disappointment because I didn't have that feeling for the rest of the songs. I thought I was gonna feel like that the whole album, and I just didn't. Hopefully, if I listen to it again, I have a complete change of heart, and the second half of the album wows me like the first half. But right now, I enjoyed it, but my feeling was like a little bit underwhelmed, but still into it. Kind of a 50-50 flip-floppy kind of thing. But overall, still good. Still good stuff from Fit for an Autopsy.
Yeah, Hostage is such a great opening track, and we did react to that. Yeah. That chorus is like the kind that you just want to belt out. You know what I mean? It's so good every time you hear it. Love that. And I made a note, which kind of felt weird, because this band, as you mentioned, they've just been getting better and better. They've been dropping great stuff. They always deliver. But I noticed, like, somehow aspects of this kind of remind me of Whitechapel. Which, I mean, you know, both in the realm of deathcore. Maybe the vocals kind of remind me of Phil a little bit. Okay. You know, maybe it's some of the rhythmic sections. Like the vocal rhythm in the verses of Spoils of the Horde reminded me of something I would hear from Whitechapel. Which is cool. I mean, if I'm going to compare a band to Whitechapel, that means they're a good band. Yeah. Like, straight up. One thing that's cool, so Hostage has that clean chorus. I feel like, from what I recall, they're incorporating a little more cleans now than they have before, which is cool. But a song like Weaker Wolves being more straightforward for this band shows that they're not only capable of evolving with the clean stuff, but they're still in tune with their roots. And they use that and their experimentation as a fuse to create, you know, a good sound for people who like more straightforward stuff from this band, people who like the different stuff from this band.
But the foundation is still there.
Yeah, the foundation is still there.
Off of it, yeah.
Exactly, and I love that. So Lurch, you know, really cool. As soon as that song started, I thought, oh wow, what is this? This intro of just straightforward, you know, somber jam going on for like a minute, and you got the screams over top of that, which sound like they're behind. So cool. Love that. Love that change of pace. I would love the whole song to be like that. But I mean, it is cool when the full band and everything comes in, but like that intro jam, awesome. I feel like this band, they consistently deliver, and I enjoyed the album. Like, you know, the expectations were high. Did it like totally blow my mind incredible? No, but like, it's a great album. Just based on the first impression, like, they delivered once again.
All right, let's move on and talk about Power Nerd, Devin Townsend. So yeah, we reacted to 2 singles from this. We reacted to the title track, Power Nerd, and we reacted to
Jainism.
Jainism, yeah. And we both liked Power Nerd from what I remember. We thought it was good. The video was funny.
It was a great video.
Jainism, I remember I didn't like Jainism, and you were...
I did like it.
Yeah, you did like it. Okay, yeah, so I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this going in. Other than Strapping Young Lad, Devin Townsend has not really ever put out anything that's really been my cup of tea. But I've always really respected him as an artist. I think he's very talented. I think he's got a really unique look at just the concept of music, and he does some interesting things. This album didn't do it for me, and that's not a surprise. Like I just said, there's not a lot that he does musically that really is my flavor. But this, I felt myself getting pretty bored of this album. I felt like a lot of it was very same vibey, very same tonally. There wasn't a lot of variation there, even though I felt like he was trying to incorporate a lot of ideas in there. I felt like they just weren't hitting. They were like, they were all foul balls basically, and there was no base runs or home runs or anything like that.
Like no song stood out for you?
Not really. I mean, Power Nerd is probably the only one that stood out. It's track number 1 on the album too, and the thing is, it's just not the same without the video. It's not the same. I enjoyed it when I watched it, but the video made it enjoyable, right? So the video definitely helps a lot in that case. And a lot of times, it's the opposite. I'll watch a music video and the video will take my attention and my focus away from the song and kind of make me like it less, and then I'll listen to the song later on and go, holy shit, this is actually really good without being distracted with the visual. Yeah. This is the opposite. I needed to be distracted with this one in order to enjoy it. Still not a bad song, it just didn't have the same, I didn't like it as much. But it actually, just full disclosure, full honesty, it got to the point towards maybe track 7 and 8 where I felt like I was hearing the same song over and over again. So I just started kind of like scrubbing through the song going, is this gonna change ever? And like go to the next track, change, does this change? And they didn't, except for the last track. The last track just sounds so different and weird, and it felt like a campfire sing-along or some type of like, he's trying to get like what do they call it, like crowd singing song. That's what it kind of felt like, but it was giving me like Weird Al vibes, which maybe he's going for that. I don't know, but it's not something that I feel like listening to. So
I mean, it is a change-up at the very least, right?
It was a change-up, but not the kind of change-up I wanted. So big flop for me. If you're a fan of Devin Townsend, it might be your alley, but yeah, it didn't do it for me, no.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a tonal whiplash, because I listened to Fit for an Autopsy before this record. Yeah. So to go from that to this is like, whoa, okay, that's, very different vibe and just completely different everything, really. I still kind of felt that the title track was fun enough, but it, like I said, that tonal whiplash made it feel a little bit weird. But early on, I'm just trying to think like, well, where's this album trying to go? It kind of kept me guessing a little bit, because I'm like, the title track doesn't really sound much like the rest of the album. And I kind of know, by the end of it, it kind of felt like a song like the title track was just made to be a single, to get people into it. He had this idea, but I kind of feel like the rest of the album doesn't really fit much with it. But there were a few songs that had cool things that I liked. Knuckle Dragger was not bad. I still like Jainism. I like how hooky the melody is. And I guess that song is kind of what I expected from the record, and it's fairly consistent-ish, but it wasn't really grabbing me that hard. Glacier was a pretty good near-end album power ballad, and I feel like it's the most effective, but it kind of felt like a few songs sound like this one, which makes for a bit of an inconsistent, like, this is the power ballad? No, okay, this is it. Okay, no, this is it. Why are there a few of them? This one was the most effective and I enjoyed it. I just kind of feel like it makes you wonder, like, why did you kind of have these throughout? You know what I mean? And the other ones just didn't grip me the same way. And then, you know, the last song, Ruby Quaker, like when it came on, it kind of sounded like, to me, I'm like, this should be a bonus track. This is like,
yeah,
this is the kind of track that comes on as a hidden track on your CD player.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you finish Goodbye, and then a while goes on, and then this starts, and you're like, what the heck is this?
Like a post-credit scene.
Like a post-credit scene from a movie. And I feel like if, you know, because sometimes Spotify is weird with it, and it'll include bonus tracks and not tell you, because thanks.
I think it's up to the artist to put it in there, but...
I guess, I don't know, we've seen Spotify screw up.
Yeah.
So, with this, like, if it was actually intended to be a bonus track, great idea for a bonus track, this wacky, goofy thing. Sure. But if that's actually straight up how the album ends, it's another tonal whiplash, and it makes me think, why is this here? What is it doing? I guess he's just screwing around. And he does that, wacky stuff, whatever. It just feels like you had this thing going on near the end just to completely 180 and do something entirely different.
Yeah.
Like, huh, what the hell? Because it makes you think, like, throughout this album, I'm listening, like, what's the experience that's supposed to really happen here? So then I get to that track, and I'm like, what the hell? It goes hard in the second half of that track, but still, it just kind of feels like, what's it doing there? So for this album, like, there's a few things I like, but overall, kind of like,
It's lost direction or something.
It just felt like it didn't have much of a focus or a direction that I would have liked to see.
All right, moving on to the last album of the day. This is Kinship by IOTUNN. And this is a band that I've heard before, but very, very minimal. And TV Fish hadn't heard them before. I told them about them.
Yeah.
And they sound a lot like a band we've covered on the channel before, a bit of an obscure band and never hear anybody talking about, Barren Earth.
Yep.
And they're actually on the two Toe Tags list. We reviewed Complex of Cages, and it made the fantastic album. And they actually share vocalists. John Aldara is the vocalist for both bands. So when you listen to this band, we were getting Barren Earth vibes a lot because we're familiar with his voice, right? He's got a pretty distinct voice. So that was kind of my hype going into this album. Like, oh, they got this guy, and we love that Barren Earth album, so this is going to be juicy, right? So album comes on, listening to it. It starts off with a nearly 14-minute long song, which I think is bold to start an album off with a long song like that. Seen it before. Seen it before. But I think it's a bold choice, regardless of what band it is. Starting off an album with like an epic song, basically, is a tough sell for somebody like me.
I guess, yeah.
Right? That's it. Somebody like TV Fish, a lot easier of a sell.
I mean,
right?
I thought it was cool. You look at something like Periphery 4, they open with Reptile, sick song, and that's like that's like 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Even with that said, it starts off very mellow. It's got soft, clean vocals, no percussion for a while. It finally picks up and it starts riding a pretty good vibe for a while. Harsh vocals kick in around halfway mark-ish.
Yeah.
And, you know, it takes you on a bit of a ride. It's got some good stuff in there. Then, you know, it was fine. Nearly 14 minutes. I'm like, okay, I got through it pretty good. I enjoyed it. Mistland comes on. Again, more clean vocals. I'm like, all right, here we go. This is Aldara's great vocals. I love his voice. He's got a great tonality, great cadence to his singing. Really like this guy's voice. And I just keep getting brought back to this Barren Earth sound. The thing with Barren Earth, and I hate to draw a comparison like this, but I just need to get you guys where my headspace is. The thing with Barren Earth and A Complex of Cages is that album had like flavor to it. It had like juicy stuff that, like, you know, they ride these grooves and they do these cool things, and then there's just some stuff that just happens that makes you go, fuck, that was nice. Fuck, that was really good. This album, Kinship, I felt like it was doing those things, riding those grooves, but it was lacking those peak moments. And I kept waiting for stuff to happen, and it just kind of wasn't. I Feel the Night, track number 4, I thought has a fantastic solo on it. I'm a guy that likes my solos. I talk about solos all the time on this channel. This one stands out. I think it's great. I cannot wait to actually go back and listen to it again and kind of pick it apart and analyze it and really, you know, take it in, because I heard it once, it came and went, and I went, wow, that was fucking good. And I really want to listen to it again. The last song is the second longest song. It's 11 minutes and 16 seconds. It's called The Anguished Ethereal. Again, super long song. I think that's much more fitting as the closing track. This is a song where it kind of goes different directions again, but I felt like it had a lot more energetic parts comparatively to the first long song. I could be wrong about that. I didn't time out which one has more, but just my overall feeling on a first impression was that this song had more of the energetic parts. Overall, very decent. It just kind of, I guess, spoke to me more. Overall, my thoughts on the album were enjoyable. Did it leave me really wanting more? Yes, because I felt like it was lacking those exciting moments that I remember from Barren Earth. And it's kind of unfair to compare this band to that band, but when you have them such close in sound, like they're pretty much the same genre, they sound very alike, and then you got the same vocalist that's just tying that all together. It's hard not to draw a comparison from one to the other. It almost feels like I'm listening to a new Barren Earth album, in a sense. So I was left a little unsatisfied. I was left wanting more, but I still did enjoy what I heard.
Mm-hmm. I went into this album with zero expectations. Like,
yeah.
I never even heard of them until like a week or two ago when you mentioned that this album was coming out. And it's funny because when I first started listening, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Barren Earth. This singer reminds me of Barren Earth. And you told me, yeah, it's the same guy. I'm like, oh my God, I knew it. Yeah. It's the same guy.
It's pretty clear, yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal voice. I think he's got such a great voice, and it was great, you know, with Barren Earth, with that record. It's great here too. And I really, really like that they have that dichotomy of like the really beautiful sounding soft moments and the really hard hitting heavy moments. And it reminded me of that Barren Earth album, but harder, and the heavy parts are heavier. So, you know, I'm just kind of like getting taken back to a complex of cages, which not many albums remind me of that. Yeah, so the fact that something has, which I guess it helps the same singer, but I thought that was great. I mean, Kinship Elegiac, which is the first track, thought that was great. And, you know, even that, like that solo, I noted was a wild solo. Super duper crazy, loved it. And as the album went on, I noted like every solo is great. Mm-hmm. Every single one feels meaningful to the song. And the guy just does crazy stuff. It's like he's got super tasteful stuff, super shreddy stuff, mixes it. Some of the solos are really long, like, loved it. There's this cool moment in the choruses of Mistland. The drummer is playing the double kick and then like kind of rolling on his ride playing the same figure, which is super cool. It's kind of the thing you'd see someone like Alex Bent do. Mm-hmm. And then that song does a key change into the solo section. I'm like, whoa, okay, that was cool. That was a good one. So I like that quite a bit. And I just kind of, as this album just kept going, thinking, oh, this is sick. This is sick. This song's great. This is beautiful. Like, I went in with zero expectations. And when you do that, you can allow yourself to get blown away because you're not expecting something as enjoyable. Yeah. Whereas when you come into an album with high expectations, it's hard, even if it's good, it's hard for it to reach those because you're expecting what I had with this. You know what I mean? Yeah,
when you go with no expectations, you're basically starting at the ground. There's only one way to go.
Exactly.
If you go with high expectations, you can go this way or that way.
If you start with nothing, you can't go under that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. I thought it was quite a great album.
Yeah. Anyways, we discussed these 4 albums, and based on the ones we liked and didn't like, and liked more and less, whatever, we decided that we're going to be reviewing The Nothing That Is by Fit for an Autopsy for the entire week, as we do. So we will be back next week to give you guys our full and final review of that album in a week's time. But for now, leave your thoughts down below. Let us know what you guys thought of these 4 albums. And if you agree with us or disagree with us, or maybe some other new releases came out this week, you could tell us about those as well. Anyways, guys, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep those heads banging.